Greetings fellow Black Caps and welcome to the Spectrum. As you know, a while ago I asked for any indie developer to come to me with a game they were making so that I could cover it for them and help bring attention to it. And right now I've had two people come up to me. Merso X and O Illusionista of Brazil Mugen Team. I got these requests at the same time and we'll look at both of them at some point, but flipping a coin to see who comes first resulted in Merso X being first. So today we're going to be taking a nosy at the complete catalogue, well almost the complete catalogue of Merso's games, and see what kind of stuff they have to offer. We'll be starting with demos, then moving on to complete games, and then I'll reveal what I plan to do with their original creations later on. Now some of you may recognise Merso X as the creator of TMNT Rescue Palooza. If you want to hear about that one, then you know where the link for it is going to be, but I will say right now, that one is a really good game, and I highly recommend that one. But that isn't the only TMNT fan game they've created. The first title we're going to be looking at is TMNT Fall of the Foot Clan DX. A remake of the 1990 Game Boy title, this demo lets you replay the first level of the game and follows it accurately with the layout, the pizza health pickups, and inconsequential destruction of public property, though it is missing the secret mini-games you can discover. Where the game differs is obvious from just looking at it. Colour has now been added and the animations are a lot smoother and prettier. The AI has been improved so they do more than just mindlessly walk into your blades or airwalk in place. They walk, jump with come at me bro arms, and now with the inclusion of colour, other enemies that have alternative attacks can be identified. For the most part, the mechanics match the original and work well. The demo only allows you to play as either Leonardo or Donatello, but each turtle essentially plays the same. They get a standard swipe attack, a jumping kick, and ninja stars. Combat is competent and you can knock projectiles out of the air, and the Rocksteady boss fight plays the exact same as it does in the original too. However, I do have two small but irritating gripes with it. The controls sometimes get a little irresponsive when trying to do things quickly. So trying to swap between a standing and ducking attack means sometimes I swipe when I'm trying to throw a star and vice versa. That one isn't so bad, I just need to control myself more and slow down my inputs. The bigger of the two small problems is that the jump animation now has a wind up to it. Meaning that a split second delay can make jumping over certain enemies, like the overcompensating motorbike troop, annoying to jump over, whereas before there wasn't such issue. This did mean I had to tiptoe around that section of the level to make sure I had enough time to avoid it, but it is possible. It's a nice attention to detail, don't get me wrong, but when you're walking along and something jumps out at you that you have to react quickly to, but when the character has an animation which slows down his reaction compared to your reaction, you're most likely going to get hit. So you need to force yourself into a crawl to conserve as much health as you can in a game that occasionally offers you a health pickup with only one try to complete the level, and that harms the experience. However, as long as you're willing to slow down, that isn't a huge issue, if just an irritating one, but the rest of the game plays great. It's also only a demo, so who knows how this is going to change in the future, if he ever comes back to it. Maybe the inclusion of the minigames will be added so I can disappoint Splinter in more ways than one. Now what if I told you there was a third TMNT project to try if either Rescue Palooza or FUFK didn't appeal to you? How about a hack of Burger Time called Pizza Time? Where this time the turtles are now the bad guys and giving in to their primal desires for the cheesy goodness of pizza and are ready to spill blood for it. Now looking at Merso's website, it's clear they have a fondness for Saturday morning cartoons, in particular TMNT. However, they aren't the only Saturday morning heroes that Merso has made a fan game of. Super Thundercats, The Lost Eye of Fundera, is a remake of the 1987 Amiga title Thundercats. As with FUFK, the graphics have been changed so that Lion-O no longer has his awkward smile face anymore, and to be smoother with more fluidity. Now call me whatever you want, but I've never watched Thundercats, though I have seen some of the clips, and I've never played the Amiga title. So I will need to judge this one based on what it provides for me, and after watching a video of the original. From the get-go, it's making a good impression with the title art ripped from the original game and kick-ass title music. As an action platformer, the gameplay premise is simple to understand. Get from one end to the other, killing whatever gets in your way, and ending the level with the forever iconic. You play as Lion-O only, and have one attack, which can be done on the ground, ducking, or in the air with a flashy flip. Almost everything, including you, dies in one hit. The boss is obviously an exception here. Once you run out of lives, it's a complete game over and you need to start from the very beginning. Now obviously that sucks, but what makes it worse is that when you die to an enemy because the hit didn't register, or you spawn into a death pit, or you die to a glitch. If you're playing with a PS4 controller like I did, be warned. I don't know who this confused looking gothic high school wrestler is, but if you touch him while playing with a controller, he powers up your weapon, but takes away your ability to do anything else except pause the game. If you're using a keyboard, there's no issue at all. So what he's supposed to do is power up your sword, which then gives it projectile attacks, acting as the rifle from the original game, which makes the game a hell of a lot easier. Unless you die, because then you lose it. If you're hoping to see Lion-O's tiny jet thing, then you're SOL, as it isn't a pickup you can get, but there are new top-down driving sections which are honestly kind of tedious. The only enemy that you'll fight are these angry fidget spinners that float up and down, making them a nuisance to hit. On one of those levels you fight a boss, which is, as much as I don't want to phrase it this way, a poorly executed attempt at a bullet hell boss. He spams shots non-stop, and considering how fast they move compared to how slow you move, you find yourself trapped in one section of the road as you try and land shots on him with your slower bullets that sometimes register a hit on him. The environments match that of the original, but the structure differs. With a further out camera you can get more room to maneuver around and see the enemies coming, but the levels are also lacking a lot of elements from the original. Pickups are missing, and the enemies are limited to 4 types. Small ships, bat ships, the wolf guy from Altered Beast, and cunts that ignore the sword. Bosses are easy to fight as they have 2 attacks and both are easy to avoid. You can often beat bosses without being hit once, and each boss fights the same. If I'm to say anything along the lines of pure praise for this game, it's going to be about the sound. The soundtrack is fantastic, maybe from the original show, I'm not sure. I know the sound effects are from the show because it has that recognisable swish that Cartoons Evolved used all the time. Overall, it's a fine game, but it needs work. Okay, so looking at those last 2, I know I've been coming across as a bit harsh, but honestly, I'm not trying to be. Those 2 games are flawed, but they're not awful. At the same time, however, this is some of their earliest work. Now we're going to look at some of their more recent stuff, and there's promising signs of improvement in them. Next title we're going to be looking at is Karate Kid. Or, at least I would if I could get it to work longer than a few minutes. That's something to do on my end though, so don't let that put you off trying it for yourself. So the short and sweet of it is, it's a remake of the game of the same name that features the same mini-games, faithfully recreated. However, it does have that bad hit detection which is present in his previous games, and the AI is cheap as shit. But, I feel I have saved the best for last. Next up is another title that shares a small link to the Turtles now, and that's the spandex sporting, chafe enduring super squad known as the Power Rangers. Now this one is not technically a remake, but it is a new game created with aspects from both the Mega Drive and the SNES games. The Power Rangers Beats of Power Special Edition, what a mouthful, is a 4-player co-op beat-em-up which is a short but fun time. Your task will be to stop Lord Z, or Lord Zed, how was it said? While cutscenes give you short plot points based on moments from the show. You can play as any of the OG Rangers, including White Ranger Tommy and hidden off to the side, Green Ranger Tommy. Before the game starts for the first time you play, you assign the difficulty. On easy, it is as easy as can be. 30 lives, but you can only play up to level 5. Normal allows you to play all the way to the end, but with only 5 lives. More you can earn by getting enough points, but without a score system I don't know how close or far I am to another one. A short tutorial explains the moveset, and you have quite a selection of pummeling options at your disposal. If you have played the games that this is based on, then you have possibly guessed that you don't get to enjoy these features straight away. Every level starts the same. You pick a ranger, and then you start as them out of uniform, meaning that they suck. They can't dodge, they can't block, they have a small super meter with a moveset limited to one special attack, a standard jump attack, a basic throw, and a ground combo. When Richard Horvitz, aka Alpha, arrives, it's morphin' time! Now that you've transformed into a Power Ranger, shit gets good. Now you get all of the moveset. The dodge, 2 super moves depending on how full the bar is that vary depending on the ranger, a knockdown jump attack, and an insta-kill grab attack. The combat is competent, and having a good selection of moves that are easily executable is one of the strongest aspects of this title. Even when playing alone, it's a lot of fun mowing down putties with your bare fists, made even better with the use of sounds from the games and the show, like the morphing sequences and Jason's pubescent battle cries. I can't stress enough how much I was giggling at that when I first heard it. Bosses also make an appearance at the end level. Each boss is satisfying and enjoyable to fight, but as good as the combat is, it isn't without its flaws. Hit registration is a common issue I faced in all of Merso's games. Sometimes enemies would not clock that I was trying to hit them, or in situations where I clearly struck first, it was in fact I who suffered the pain. Oh, and the purple putties are just... cunts. Another issue is that somehow, and I have no idea how, but somehow I would break the AI of the bosses at times, and they would just stay in place and let me keep them in a semi-permanent state of pain until finishing them off Street Fighter style. Beating a boss once isn't enough to finish the level, however. What kind of Power Rangers game would it be if you didn't get to use the Megazords? A bad one. That's the answer, it would be a bad one. Now, in general, on both easy and normal, the combat isn't hard and it feels balanced enough. And the difficulty that climbs at a reasonable pace, though on occasion it still sometimes feels too easy. If only for a short while before going back to a more expected and reasonable difficulty. Although there is one level I had a real problem with, which is the one before the final level, which is only designed to take away your lives because of the jump sequences mean that just one tiny little pixel out of place means that you're just going to fall down and lose a life to the hellfire that's chasing after you. Yeah, that's just there to be a dick, there's no way around it. I can't comment much on the graphics and music, as they are ripped elements, but the choices made to decide what to use and where were thought out well, and each level is dripping with the charm that the Power Rangers shows are known for. A much better improvement over the 2 titles we just looked at, I would easily say that this one and Rescue Palooza are Merso's best work. Now, we've come to the end of the free games that Merso has made, but there are 3 more I want to look at, and each are available on Steam, but I think they deserve their own video and I will cover those at a later date. For now, what did I think of the ones I did play? And as Merso as a developer? Well, let's get the negative out the way and end on a positive note. Like any developer, be it an indie or a AAA, there are weaknesses which seem to appear in all of their games. For Merso, it's hit detection. In some games, it isn't so bad, and in others, it's obvious, and can hinder the experience to varying degrees. However, outside of that, the games are functional, made with a lot of love, and most importantly, are enjoyable. Though they may not be the best games ever, by no means are they bad. They are good games, even if they do need a bit of polish, most of them, and beat 'em up fans are sure to find something here they like, and I would highly recommend once again Power Rangers or Rescue Palooza. At least when it comes to the free games. When I take a look at the paid ones, I may possibly be adding those to the recommended. But right now, I would say that Merso is a good indie game maker, Now, if any of these games have piqued your interest and you'd like to see how they're developing, your best bets are either to go to the YouTube channel, where Merso occasionally posts a video about progress, or to go to their Patreon, where you can at least join for free to see what they're actually doing to the game. Oh look, the minigames, they're going to be in it, so I can disappoint Shredder in many ways. Oh, and that's interesting. Also be able to get to play as Bebop possibly in the future, and a Masters of the Universe game is on the way. I'd love to try some of these if they ever come out. So if you would like to hear about the other games that are on Steam, stick around because that'll be in a future video. And as I finish up, I thank you for watching and remember you're always welcome at the Spectrum.